Chicken masala.
I am getting an error at line number 16. Why? Sir, method 2 is not present in, come on, not present in. If I'm trying to write method 1, now fine. Now tell me what is my output right now. If I execute my program, what is my output? Yes value, Java is awesome, and after that, method 1 called. Okay, right click, run as Java application. Okay, just let me try to check my console. Okay, like that. Okay, Now my question is, let me try to create one more object aobj2 like this. Now tell me why I am getting an error at line number 17. I am using new keyword. Okay, what is use of new keyword? Creating an object. Okay, after that tell me, initializing the object with which constructor? Non-parameterized constructor. In my program, do I have a non-parameterized constructor? So how can you use that? You will be getting an error. Now, please read the fourth point once again. We need to initialize the class object with the available constructors present in the class. Are you understanding me, guys? Now, tell me why we are getting an error here. Why we are getting an error here? Non-parameterized constructor is not present in our program. You are using a constructor which is not present in your program. That is the only reason you are getting an error. Are you understanding me, guys? Online students, kindly please tell me. Online students, guys, kindly please tell me. Guys, respond. Please respond in the chat. Please respond in the chat. Right. Now, for example, let me just try to go with one more program. I'm having a method void display display method system.out.println. I'm just trying to have today. Today is saturday. Today is Saturday. Okay, main method. Now inside the main method, I'm going to create an object new class A like that. Just let me try to go with like Java and equal to A. Sorry, this is B, right? Class B. Now equal to BOBJ belongs to class B like that, and after that BOBJ dot display. I'm just trying to call my display method like that. Now why I am getting an error at line number 11? Why? Parameterized constructor is not present in my program. So that is the reason I am getting an error. Can you guess my next question? Can you guess my next question? I'm not asking you to guess the answer. I'm asking you to guess my next question. Line number 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My question is, did you write any non-parameterized constructor in your program? Yes, sir. Are we getting any error? Why? Did you understand my point, guys, here? Guys, please tell me yes or no. Kindly please do remember, guys, please do remember. By default, this point is very, very important. Please do remember correctly. In every Java program, listen, please listen, guys, please listen. In every Java program, by default, Java compiler will provides a default constructor in your program. By default, when if you are not writing any constructor in your program. Once again, guys, please listen to me. In your Java program, I repeat, guys, very, very important. Please concentrate. In your Java program, if you are writing a parameterized constructor. Imagine class A. Imagine class A. In your program, if you are writing a parameterized constructor, then compiler will not provide any default constructor. Guys, default constructor or non-parameterized constructor, both are same. Non-parameterized constructor is provided by the programmer. Default constructor is provided by the compiler. Are you understanding me, guys? Once again, non-parameterized constructor or default constructor, both are same. Non-parameterized constructor is provided by the programmer. Default constructor is provided by the compiler. Now the question is, when compiler will be providing our program with a default constructor? When? Listen, concentrate. When compiler will be providing our program with a default constructor. Compiler will be providing your program with a default constructor only if you are not writing any constructor. In your program, you should not write parameterized constructor or non-parameterized constructor. Then only compiler will be providing your program with a default constructor. For example, in your Java program, if you write a non-parameterized or else parameterized constructor in your program, in your class A, if you have written a parameterized constructor, will compiler provides a default constructor? No. Guys, are you understanding me? Once again, guys, please, once again. In every Java program, guys, listen. Here, listen. Please concentrate. Once again. In every Java program, by default, every Java program, by default, Java compiler will be providing your program with a default constructor. First point. Second point. Default constructor is same like non-parameterized constructor. Non-parameterized constructor means that will be provided by the programmer. Default constructor will be provided by the compiler. Question. When compiler will be providing your program with a default constructor? When? Where are you? Not you. Behind. Concentrate. When compiler will be providing your program with a default constructor? If you are not writing any constructor, then only compiler will be providing our program with a default constructor. Are you understanding me, guys? Now let us come back. Now, please check this program, guys. Now, let me come to my class A. Okay. Now, here, line number 17, I am getting an error. Why I am getting an error? Because in class A, already I have written a parameterized constructor. In my program, if I am having a parameterized constructor or non-parameterized constructor, compiler will not provide any default constructor. Are you understanding me, guys? So right now, I cannot initialize an object with the constructor which is not present in my program. That is the reason I am getting an error at line number 17. Now let us come back to class B here. Now class B in line number 11, okay, guys, this is important. I am creating an object with help of new keyword and I am initializing an object with the help of a which constructor? Class B, okay, but which constructor? Default constructor. Guys, yes or no? Of course, non-parameterized constructor only. But what is the difference between default and non-parameterized? Default is provided by compiler. Non-parameterized constructor is provided by the programmer. Are you understanding me, guys? Right now, in my program, in my class B, did I write any constructor? No, I did not write any constructor. So obviously, compiler will be providing my program with a default constructor. Are you understanding me, guys? For example, if I'm trying to write class B like this, system.out.println, just simply I'm going with hello, hello like this. Now, this is also a default constructor, but it is given by the programmer. Are you understanding me, guys? Guys, from this moment onwards, from this time onwards, I am going to address non-parameterized constructor also as a default constructor. Both are same. Both are same. Are you understanding me? Now, once again, same question in little bit different manner. My question is, in how many ways a default constructor will be available in the program? In how many ways? 2 ways. What are those? First one, which will be provided by the programmer. Second one, which will be provided by the compiler. Are you understanding me, guys? Once again I am saying you, default constructor or non-parameterized constructor, both are same. So once again I am saying you, in how many ways default constructor will be available in your program? 2 ways. First one, which will be provided by the programmer. Second one, which will be provided by the compiler. When compiler will be providing your program with a default constructor? When? If you are not writing any constructor. Repeat, respond. Don't sit idle, respond. When compiler will be providing with a default constructor, guys? If you are not writing any constructor, then and then only compiler will be providing our program with a default constructor. Am I clear with this, guys? Right. Now, let us come back to our key points here. Now, yes, we need to initialize the class object with the available constructors present in the class. Okay. Now, point number 5. For every Java program, compiler will provides a default constructor. Point number 6. Default constructor will be provided by the compiler. Default constructor will be provided by the compiler only if your program is not having any constructors. Default constructor will be provided by the compiler only if your program is not having any constructors. That is either parameterized constructors or non-parameterized constructors. Default constructor will be provided by the compiler only if your program is not having any constructor. That is either parameterized constructors or non-parameterized constructor. Point number 7. Default constructor is exactly exactly same like, come on, exactly same like non-parameterized constructor. Default constructor is provided by the compiler. Default constructor is provided by the compiler, and non-parameterized constructor is provided by the programmer. Default constructor is provided by the compiler and non-parameterized constructor is provided by the programmer. As simple as this. Now, yes. Point number 9. Point number 9. Right. Now, just let me come to my class CA. Okay. I am removing this. Now, I'm sorry. Right. So, guys, please observe here. I am trying to have two constructors. System.out.println. Simply, I am writing DFALT default constructor. Default CONSTRUCTOR default constructor, and this is parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor. As I said, guys, from this moment onwards, I am going to address non-parameterized constructor also as default constructor. I hope it's clear, guys, for everyone. Okay, now, so guys, right now, for class A, how many constructors I can use for creating an object? Again, same question once again. For class A, how many constructors I can use for creating an object? How many constructors? Two constructors. What are those? First one is parameterized constructor. Second one is default or non-parameterized constructor. Is it clear, guys? Now, for example, in class B, if I want to create an object, how many constructors are available for me? One or two? What is that? Default constructor, which will be provided by the... Am I clear with this? Okay. Now, let us come to class A. Now, what is the access modifiers for these constructors? Tell me. Default. Okay. PUBLIC, public. Let me go with PROTECGD, protected. Can I write like that? No. Why? Are we getting any error here, guys? Okay, hang on. Just class. Like that. Now tell me. Can we write like that or not? Yes, I can write. For example, can I make this as PRIVAT private? So, my question is, for the constructors which are given by the programmers, it may be a default constructor or it may be a parameterized constructor. Once again, for the constructors which are given by the programmers, may be a parameterized constructor or default constructor, we can use all the 4 access modifiers. Is it right or wrong? Come on, guys, tell me. We can use public, we can use private, we can use protected, and of course we can use default. No problem. Now comes the question. Guys, answer me. Please observe it correctly. In class A, do you have a default constructor? Guys, again I am saying you, From this moment onwards, I am going to address non-parameterized constructor also as default constructor. Please don't get confused. Please don't get confused. Okay. Once again, I'm asking you, in class A, do you have a default constructor? Yes or no? Right. Good. Okay. You are having a default constructor. Provided by whom? Come on. Provided by the programmer. What is the access modifier? What is the access modifier? Private. Okay. Now, class B. Do you have a default constructor in class B? Provided by? What is the access modifier? How do you know? How do you know? Yeah, it will, see, default constructor is different. Default access modifier is different. For example, come back to class A. What is this constructor? Is it default constructor or parameterized constructor? Default constructor. What is the access modifier? Now my question is, in class B, I am having main method. Okay, just let me try to write like this. Main method. Okay. Now inside my main method, I am trying to create an object. Okay. New class B dot display. Directly I am trying to call my display method. Now my question is, in class B, I am having a default constructor, which is provided by the compiler. What is the access modifier for that? How do you know? How do you know? Right. Guys, please listen to me. I'm going to say a small statement. Then you can say. Listen to me, please. For the default, guys, listen. For the default constructor, which is provided by the programmer, how many access modifiers we can use? How many? What are those? Private, protected, default. Respond. Right? Public, private, protected, default. For the default constructor provided by the compiler, you can use or you will be having only two access modifiers, public and default. Why? Because whatever your class is having, the same access modifier will be appended to the default constructor which is given by the compiler. Now you tell me, what is the access modifier for this default constructor which is provided by the compiler? How do you know? Exactly, because class is having public, the same access modifier will be appended to the default constructor which is provided by the compiler. Am I clear with this, guys? Now, once again, guys, once again. Default constructor, in how many ways it will be available in the program? Two ways. What are those? First one is provided by the programmer. Second one is compiler. For the default constructor, not only default constructor, for any constructor which is provided by the programmer, it may be default, it may be parameterized constructor. For any constructor which is provided by the programmer, how many access modifiers we can use? All the four we can use. For the default constructor provided by the compiler, how many access modifiers? There is a scope, only two. What are those? Public and default. Why? Because whatever your class is having, the same access modifier will be appended to the default constructor which is provided by the compiler. Is it clear, guys? Let us try to write that point also. For the default constructor, provided by the programmer, for the default constructor or parameterized constructor. For the default constructor or parameterized constructor, provided by the programmer, we can use all the 4 access modifiers. We can use all the 4 access modifiers. We can use all the 4 access modifiers. Point number 10. For the default constructor, provided by the compiler, we can, or else provided by the compiler, there is a chance of using only 2 access modifiers. What are those? PUBLC, public and default.